This popcorn-style review contains scenes from another video. Dragon Ball Super was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. It manages to create satisfying character arcs for the majority of the secondary and even some of the tertiary characters. Really, the only one that gets left behind is Goku. So the whole main cast gets a good arc, even the antagonists. Well, most of the antagonists. I think Zamasu is a little, but yeah, so the arcs are all pretty enjoyable. It's actually, like, surprisingly funny. Even, like, the dumb gag episode with the Dr. Slump cameos was surprisingly funny, and they managed to create some really interesting character drama and some nice dramatic tension, especially during the Goku Black arc. I think my biggest issues with it are that the fights are just, most of them, some of them are good, most of them are really fucking boring. I think the problem with them, it mainly stems from the fact that as a series, Dragon Ball Super itself is not a specifically, like, technical series, so you don't really understand the, like, thought processes of the characters throughout the whole fights. Sometimes they do it more than I would have expected, but they only go, like, halfway on it. But on the other hand, the other way to do a fight scene is, like, constant, like, spectacle and, like, all of these, like, exciting hype moments where the characters kind of go back and forth. But they do that to a lesser extent also, but they only do it, like, halfway too. So it doesn't fully commit to, like, a mechanical, technical, like, fight where you understand the character's motivations and thought processes, but it doesn't fully commit to being all about, like, spectacle and power and hype moments. So it ends up as sort of like a toned down fight where two characters just, like, ineffectually punch each other for, like, 10 minutes. Like, that's a big issue with the fights in the show itself. It feels like nothing has any weight, especially during the Tournament of Power arc. But it does introduce a lot of interesting characters with interesting power sets. And I did enjoy basically all of the newly introduced characters. Again, Zamasu's a little, like, he's okay. I don't think he's great. Fucking loved Jiren. I know that's controversial, because I remember when the show was coming out, everyone hated on Jiren. Fucking loved Jiren. Jiren's so cool. But yeah, I really think the show does Goku dirty. He has no character arcs. If anything, I feel like he's regressed in his maturity over time, because I think they tried to lean in too heavily to the comedy aspect in Goku's character, and it ends up, like, devaluing him as a character. And I think Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan is stupid, but understandable. I mean, it makes sense. You know, you go Super Saiyan God, then you go Super Saiyan and fly that form. That's fine. I thought Blue Evolved was cool. My final issue, I think, is I really don't like Ultra Instinct. And I know exactly where my issue comes from, because I was thinking about this during, like, the end of the show, where I'm like, this is fucking boring. Is that the issue with Ultra Instinct is that in almost all of the previous transformations, there was either some ritual or pomp and circumstance, or in the even better transformations, the characters were sort of in an emotional, like, dire straits, you know, where they had to, like, even with Blue Evolved, like, Vegeta had to go through, like, he had to dig deep and think about all of the promises and friends he had made promises to, and, like, his family, and how he had to save the universe. Whereas Ultra Instinct triggers 3 times, so it loses the dramatic, oh shit, Goku has a new transformation thing that they do with other transformations, because he does it 3 times on this. It loses that, but also it only triggers when Goku's getting his ass kicked, and so it ends up coming off like they're afraid of having Goku get his ass kicked. Like, they write themselves into a corner with characters like Jiren and Kefla, where there's no fucking way he could win, so they just make up shit like kids in a playground so Goku can pull a win off. And I think that actually kind of bogs down the show a little bit, because I don't think that's required. Like, I think it would have been okay to let Goku lose, or okay to let him, like, so he doesn't need his one-on-one moments. Like, I think, if anything, Goku not being able to surpass everyone he meets the second he meets them is actually more interesting, because it gives him something to aspire from. Kind of like a properly dealt with Monaka, like a real Monaka in the forms of, like, Kefla and Jiren. Like, he's strong, but he's not there yet, and there's still more for him to do, and so he has to work together. And they did that at the end, but I think they were like so committed to giving Goku his one-on-one that it just ends up sort of like undermining the whole point of everything, because it's like, yo, Goku's the coolest. Oh, but he can't do it alone. And it's like, he almost could have done it alone if he had better organs. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrobolic. You're Envoy of Hope. Bye-bye.